Chapter 71. The first kill reward involves a huge event. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The psychic puppet stretched out two giant steel hands, grabbed the wings of the strange bird, and then yanked them off. Gah! The huge falling feeling caused the strange bird to scream violently. At this moment, there was a hint of despair in the strange bird's eyes. It knows that once it loses the ability to fly, what awaits it is death. Quack! That the strange bird kept screaming, seemingly asking for help. Han Xing felt that a strange aura was rushing towards him at a high speed in the remote Kongdao mountain forest, as if it wanted to stop him from killing the strange bird. The aura was not strong and seemed to be weakening. However, at this time, Han Xing had already strengthened his determination to kill the strange bird. No one you call can save you today. The next moment, Han Xing waved his hand again, and 7 psychic puppets suddenly appeared. 8 steel giants with a height of more than 4 meters occupy all the sight. Just looking at it gives people a complete visual shock. That breath was still rushing towards me at a very fast speed, and was getting closer and closer. At this moment, Han Xing suddenly faced the mountain forest and said in a cold voice, "If you want to be exposed now, then come out." As soon as he finished speaking, the momentum of the strange aura suddenly stopped in the mountain forest. At this time, the leader-level strange bird had been smashed to the ground by the elite puppet. Boom! There was a strong impact on the ground. With this fall, the strange bird spat out a mouthful of blood and felt like its internal organs were shattered. After landing, it just wanted to continue struggling. At this time, 8 psychic puppets surrounded the strange bird, not giving it any chance to escape, and in the encirclement, there are still coal briquettes that are constantly causing damage to it. The strange bird kept making harsh chirping sounds, but what was waiting for it were metal fists as big as basins and black lights. Bang! 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 The psychic puppet punched out, hitting the flesh, and the strange bird screamed in agony. In a short period of time, the strange bird had many wounds on its body, and its flesh and blood were flying. Its breath is getting weaker and weaker, and I can only place my last hope on that breath in the mountain forest. However, I don't know whether he is afraid of the combat power of these puppets or what Han Xing just said. In the mountain forest, the terrifying aura gradually receded. At this moment, the strange bird was completely desperate. In the last moments of its life, it only saw a few terrifying big metal feet, occupying all its sight. Boom! Bang bang! After screaming, this level 10 strange bird leader was trampled to death by several psychic puppets. Looking at the mass of mutilated corpses on the ground that were no longer human-shaped, Han Xing took a deep breath, and the anger in his heart gradually subsided. At this moment, a notification sound suddenly sounded in his ears. Successfully kills the strange bird Caleb, a 1-star leader-level creature. You gain experience points *18,000, pet briquettes gain experience points 14,400, system. Announcement: because you are the first survivor in the server to kill a boss-level monster, you will receive the first kill reward, Spirit Core *5000, Space Backpack Blueprint, Blue, *1, and you will receive an additional reward, Blood Curse Resistor Recipe *1. Another first kill reward. Han Xing was immediately surprised. There are also blue backpack drawings. Before, Han Xing felt that his backpack space was not enough. Unexpectedly, this first kill reward was given to him directly with a blue space backpack drawing. Han Xing even wanted to check the reward now, but when he thought of there was a terrifying existence in that mountain forest, he temporarily put these things into his backpack and immediately controlled the island to stay away from here. 10 minutes later, we were already dozens of kilometers away from the mountain forest. Han Xing then said slowly, "It should be far enough from here." Fortunately, the thing didn't catch up. He breathed a sigh of relief. Although I don't know what is in that cave, or what its strength is, but just based on the terrifying aura that can make people's hearts throb, at least it is more powerful than the strange bird leader. Fortunately, Han Xing deduced from the details in the mural that the aura probably didn't want to be exposed to people, otherwise, it wouldn't have been hidden behind the strange bird. His threat really had an effect. After getting out of danger, Han Xing began to check the properties of the backpack drawings. Space Backpack, Blue, can create a backpack with 100 to 200 storage spaces, with some attribute enhancement effects. Materials required for production, Spiritual Core *200, high-quality animal skin *3, ether star. The production success rate is 25%, with the bonus of the god-level craftsman talent. The production success rate has reached 100%. Equipment requirements, Han Xing nodded and said, yes, the blue backpack has at least 100 spaces, which is much larger than my current space backpack. However, even with the additional restriction that only level 10 equipment can be used, it's not a problem for me. Just after killing the level 10 boss monster, his experience bar surged to 95%, and he would be promoted to level 9 immediately. With his current upgrade speed, level 10 is not that far away. At this time, Han Xing took out another reward item from his backpack. Blood Curse Resistant Formula. According to this formula, a potion can be made that can relieve the blood curse. Anti-agent formula. What is the blood curse? Han Xing became interested. This formula was a little different from the two formulas he had obtained before. Below, there is even a large paragraph of text introduction. Before the Great Collapse era, the Witch Clan, as one of the hundreds of tribes in the Holy Spirit realm, possessed great strength. One day, while performing tribal rituals, the leader of the Wu tribe heard whispers in his ears. He believed that this was the spirit of his dead ancestors talking to him, guiding him to that lofty and sacred place. He asked how that voice could lead the Wu clan to prosperity. The voice was silent, and after a moment, he said a few words: faith, sacrifice, blood. When the leader of the Wu clan heard the instructions, he was immediately overjoyed. The ancestors had responded, and there was hope for the revitalization of the Wu clan. Since then, he has been communicating with that voice. Until that day, he finally received the complete sacrificial information. Only then did the leader of the Wu clan realize that the requirements for this sacrifice were so huge that it would even require the efforts of the entire clan to complete it. As a result, the witch tribes from all over the world were recalled by him, and a grand sacrifice was underway. However, it was that sacrifice that attracted four terrifying beings from different dimensions. Those four existences don't know their names, their pasts, their abilities. The only thing they have in common is that they all have the ability to spread curses, and the speed of spread is so fast and violent that they have never been seen before. When four terrible curses spread like wildfire across the entire Witch Clan territory, that night, the Wu clan was almost wiped out. Realizing the seriousness of the matter, the Elf King and Giant King, who were at their peak, came to curb the curse with their clan's sacred objects, but even so, they only managed to kill two strange beings with difficulty. Two of the strange beings escaped back to the alien space. The crisis was over, and the remaining Wu clan began to recuperate. However, what the Elf King and Giant King did not notice was that where the strange being was killed, a drop of bright red blood penetrated into the soil. This drop of blood is one of the sources of the curse. After many years, a terrifying being reawakens. He was preparing to cause another terrible disaster, but after a failure experience, this being became more cautious, and he was ready to plan it out slowly, and he has found the right target. Under his intentional or unintentional control, this remnant of existence successfully arrived at the place abandoned by the gods. He plans to complete his plan in this place where the creatures of the Holy Spirit realm dare not enter. Now, his layout is about to be completed. By then, the entire sky in the land abandoned by the gods will be dyed red with blood. This phenomenon is called a blood tide. Under the blood tide, all living creatures will uncontrollably turn into deformed and terrifying creatures. Only creatures that take the blood curse resistance agent can be immune to this curse. After reading this long recipe introduction, Han Xing took a breath of air. He originally thought that this was just a simple potion formula, but he didn't expect that a huge event would be involved behind it. Who is that being who is making arrangements? Does it have anything to do with the smell in the forest just now? When will the blood tide break out? Korean stars don't know all this. He only knew that if no one stopped it, this disaster would come sooner or later. Han Xing took a deep breath, lowered his head and thought, currently, among all human survivors, I should be the only one who has mastered this information. I don't know if the indigenous people of this world know about it, but they probably don't know either. And I can't get in touch with them now, let alone inform them of the relevant situation. And the prop information above seems to mention that the land abandoned by the gods where I am is a place that even the natives of this world dare not easily step into. In other words, if this disaster breaks out, billions of humans on Blue Star will bear the brunt. This is troublesome. Han Xing frowned. Under the blood tide, all creatures will mutate. And you must have a blood curse resistance agent to resist this curse. Han Xing seemed to have captured some key information, and he suddenly realized the importance of the potion formula in his hand. One day in the future, if the blood tide breaks out, his potion may even become the key to influencing the situation of the battle. Thinking of this, Han Xing directly clicked on the recipe to learn, and then checked the materials required for production. Blood curse anti-agent. After taking it, the blood curse can be eliminated. Materials required for production: cursed blood *1, holy aurora *1, witch root *1, spiritual core star. The formula for making the potion is not complicated, but Korean stars have never heard of 3 key ingredients. It seems that these materials are not available at the current stage. If you have a chance, go to the trading channel to take a look. After reading the information on this recipe, Han Xing's heart seemed to be shrouded in a shadow. Chapter 72 Special Equipment, Molten Gold Cannon. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ever since he read the introduction of the formula, Han Xing's heart has been cast into a shadow. Blood tide, as the name suggests, is an unimaginable catastrophe, and even the once powerful witch clan was almost wiped out, and these survivors from Blue Star, even the fastest leveling group, have only reached level 7 or 8, and have not even turned professional. In other words, they are still at the bottom of this world, cannon fodder. In a disaster, everyone will be affected. Even Korean stars have no confidence to resist a disaster of this level. Han Xing felt a sense of urgency in his heart. He must improve his strength as soon as possible. At least, he must have some self-protection power when the blood tide breaks out. Han Xing looked forward again. At this time, the territory was in a mess, with traces of battles everywhere. 8 huge psychic puppets stood quietly. Han Xing glanced at the ground. Zhang Lianmeng was still in a comatose state, so, he casually made a bed and placed it on the territory, and then gently picked up Zhang Lianmeng. Zhang Lianmeng, who was in a comatose state, was unaware of all this. Han Xing only felt a soft body being held in his hands, and a unique body fragrance penetrated the tip of his nose. After Han Xing put Zhang Lianmeng on the bed to rest, he said with a strange expression, "This girl's body is so soft." Then, Han Xing took all 8 puppets back into the storage space. The view on the territory became wider again. The first thing that caught the eye was a huge crater of more than 20 meters, which was blasted out by this strange bird using a strange cannon. Han Xing twitched the corner of his mouth and quickly used the extra territory to repair the huge hole. Then, he walked up to the strange bird's inhuman body and kicked it angrily. "Damn it, one bombardment destroyed my territory of more than 400 square meters. If my territory hadn't been large enough, otherwise, I will really fall into your hands today." At this time, Han Xing was a little lucky. Fortunately, he built the castle at the core of the territory. If others want to attack their own core, they must first destroy the castle's 1,000 defense points. As for the shot from the strange bird just now, the splash damage only destroyed the castle. Looking at the corpse of the strange bird, Han Xing became very angry. At this time, Han Xing suddenly thought, could the body of this strange bird be decomposed? He tried clicking. A system prompt appears. Do you want to decompose the body of the strange bird Caleb, a 1-star leader creature? It's really okay. Han Xing said yes directly. Successful decomposition. 1 strange bird head, 2 strange bird eyeballs, and cursed blood asterisk have been obtained. Strange bird head, a mission prop. With the strange bird head, you can go to the Elf King's capital to claim the reward. Strange bird eyeball, a special prop that seems to be the medium of some kind of alchemy circle. Cursed blood, a special material that contains a hint of curse and seems to be used to make some kind of potion. Han Xing noticed the third prop. In the blood curse resistance formula he obtained, one of the required materials is the cursed blood. Unexpectedly, this strange bird can be decomposed, and this strange bird is together with the terrifying existence in the cave. From this point of view, his conclusion is probably correct. The aura in the cave is probably related to the blood tide that is about to break out. No wonder the system's first kill reward would give him such a potion formula. After disposing of the strange bird's body, Han Xing prepared to clean up the messy territory. At this moment, the little coal ball suddenly jumped to Han Xing's feet. Han Xing asked in confusion, "What's wrong with the briquettes?" Coal ball scratched Han Xing's boots, and then his figure flashed and appeared near the castle. Han Xing followed its figure and looked intently. A huge gilded cannon appeared in the corner of the castle. "Let me go, isn't this the cannon that the strange bird used to blast me?" At this time, Han Xing vaguely remembered, the elite puppet rushed into the sky, and when it pulled the strange bird down, the cannon on its shoulder fell. The power of this artillery is very powerful. As someone who has experienced it personally, Han Xing knows clearly, one shot even blasted a gap in his own territory. If it hit him, even an elite psychic puppet wouldn't be able to withstand this shot. This thing is a real big treasure and a big killer. After the surprise, there was uncontrollable ecstasy. Han Xing felt that his breathing was a little rapid. He quickly walked over and picked up the golden cannon. The item attributes appeared in front of me. Financial cannon LV-10, golden special equipment, quality, treasure, attack power 436-472, with special effects, explosion. When the shell comes into contact with an object, it causes 150% impact damage, and then detonates the shell, destroying everything within 20 meters around, object, causing 80% blast damage, with special effects. Burnout. Units attacked by the molten artillery will be appended with a layer of burning ember state, which will continue to burn life. Remaining durability, 2/50. Each attack requires 1 durability. When the durability reaches 0, the equipment will become scrapped and cannot be repaired. Looking at the cracked artillery surface, Han Xing's excited heart suddenly sank. Only 2 points of durability left. In other words, I can only fire 2 more rounds of artillery fire. Han Xing felt a little pity. At this time, he tentatively clicked on the durability on the back of the fusion cannon. A system prompt appears. Do you want to repair the special equipment, the financial cannon? Materials required for repair: eternal gold ingot *48, invigorating rough stone *48, spiritual core *4800, rare earth *48,000. After the repair is successful, the durability will be restored to full value. Sure enough, there was a look of surprise in Han Xing's eyes. He paused and continued thinking. However, the materials used to repair this thing are a bit high-end. The eternal gold ingots and invigorating rough stones are also things I have never come into contact with. Even in the entire District 107, I'm afraid I can't get it either. Han Xing took a look at the durability of the fusion artillery, exhaled and said, after the durability is cleared, it can no longer be used. In other words, I can only fire 1 more cannonball before I find enough materials. After thinking for a moment, Han Xing shook his head. Forget it, 1 shot is not bad. At least, I have another trump card in my hand. Thinking of this, Han Xing stopped worrying, then he started sorting out his territory. About half an hour later, Zhang Lianmeng woke up from her coma and found that she was lying on the bed at some point. As soon as he opened his eyes, Han Xing's back immediately came into view. She was confused for a moment, and then she recalled the situation when she was held by Han Xing in her arms before she fell into coma, and her face turned red with embarrassment, so much so that her breathing became a little faster. Han Xing heard the movement behind him and walked over slowly. At this time, Zhang Lianmeng was lying on the bed in a sideline position. This position further highlighted her graceful figure. Zhang Lianmeng's unique maturity has a somewhat youthful temperament, which makes people unable to take their eyes away just by looking at him. Sensing Han Xing approaching, Zhang Lianmeng's body tensed up instantly, and the 10 delicate and lovely toes under her slender feet hooked together. In order to cover up her nervousness, she closed her eyes again, trying to pretend that she was still unconscious. However, Han Xing's words rang in his ears. Okay, your breathing was so heavy that I heard it more than 10 meters away. After Zhang Lianmeng heard this, she sat up instantly. She lowered her head, her face flushed, and she looked very embarrassed. Han Xing didn't say much, but solemnly said, "This time, thank you very much. This thank you comes from the bottom of my heart." After all, she did save her life. Zhang Lianmeng clearly felt that Han Xing's attitude had softened a lot. Han Xing is indifferent to strangers, but he can no longer be indifferent to someone who is willing to sacrifice his life to save him. Zhang Lianmeng hummed softly. At this time, Han Xing asked again, "What are your plans next?" That when this topic was mentioned, Zhang Lianmeng was suddenly confused. Yes, where else can I go? The core territory was destroyed, and she couldn't even rebuild it. Without an empty island, she wouldn't even be able to move freely in this world. Han Xing saw her predicament and asked, "Where is your man?" Still no reply. Zhang Lianmeng seemed to have thought of this too. She quickly looked at her message. The next moment, Han Xing saw a sad expression on her face. He is dead. Dead? Han Xing was surprised. Zhang Lianmeng nodded lightly. His chat window turned black, and the system displayed that the survivor was out and could no longer be contacted. Having said this, the tears in Zhang Lianmeng's eyes could no longer be controlled. Han Xing was stunned for a moment, but after thinking about it, it was expected. That guy didn't listen to Zhang Lianmeng's advice and went his own way. They didn't even understand how difficult the secret realm was, so they dared to risk their lives and challenge the 2-star secret realm. Death is also a normal thing. After a while, Han Xing could only say, "My condolences." Zhang Lianmeng was still sobbing quietly at this time, but for some reason, she found that she was not as sad as she thought. After all, she and Lu Zikai were just engaged, and in terms of familiarity, they were not even as good as the receptionist in his company. He didn't even know the name of Zhang Lianmeng's mother, and he never cared about his own affairs. Before, she had always wanted to find Lu Zikai because, in this world, he was the only person she could contact. Since she came to this world, she has never felt safe for a day. She just imagined Lu Zikai as a spiritual support when she was afraid, but after 2 days of getting along, the spiritual pillar in her mind seemed to have quietly changed. She looked at the man in front of her. Although we only got along for 2 days, he gave me a sense of security that I had never felt since I was a child. Half an hour later, when Zhang Lianmeng calmed down, Han Xing walked to her side. As if he had made some kind of decision, Han Xing slowly said, "Zhang Lianmeng, please. Stay." Chapter 75 Attacked Late at Night. You are listening at novelfull.audio. You have obtained fertile land *121, you have obtained 45 kilograms of potatoes, and your territory has expanded. On the periphery of Han Xing's territory, a dark black territory appeared, with many ripe potatoes planted on it. At this time, Zhang Lianmeng's eyes lit up. "Brother Xing, can I use this territory to grow vegetables? While exploring today, I found a lot of vegetable seeds, including eggplant, cabbage, radish, water spinach, etc." Han Xing glanced at her and said, "So, you have been squatting on those empty islands and groping around today, just looking for these seeds?" "Aha!" Zhang Lianmeng nodded excitedly. "I'm thinking of growing a lot of vegetables for you in the future to keep your nutrition balanced." Han Xing nodded. "Okay, this territory will be planned for you and used as your small vegetable garden. From now on, I will hand over the source of my vegetables to you." "Yeah, thank you Brother Xing." Zhang Lianmeng nodded excitedly. Zhang Lianmeng immediately ran to the castle, took out a few small hoes and started farming. Han Xing discovered that Zhang Lianmeng, a woman, was really a land farmer and was 100% enthusiastic about this matter. Moreover, in some aspects, she even understands the mechanisms of this world better than Korean stars. No, she is now asking Han Xing for some bones again. "Brother Xing, grind the bones into powder and sprinkle them on top to add nutrients to the land and speed up the growth of these crops." Han Xing nodded and said, "I have a lot of beast bones in reserve. They are in the storage box. Go get them yourself." Han Xing gave Zhang Lianmeng permission to use the storage box. Under normal circumstances, other survivors cannot open storage boxes in the territory unless the territory owner is dead or without permission. Zhang Lianmeng ran to the warehouse area in the castle again. After opening one of the storage boxes, he was immediately shocked by the dazzling array of materials inside. "Oh my God!" Zhang Lianmeng exclaimed, but she didn't think much about it. Instead, she hugged a few big bones as thick as her arms and returned to the outside of the castle, under the interested gaze of Han Xing. Zhang Lianmeng placed the bones on a grinding table made of stone, then picked up a stone hammer and crushed the bones vigorously, but it seems that because the bones of these beasts are too hard, she lacks strength and cannot destroy their structures even after hammering them many times. At this time, Han Xing was watching her raise the stone hammer and hit the bones vigorously with trembling movements. Bang! 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 Seeing this scene, Han Xing swallowed his saliva, walked over and said, "Let me do it, your strength is too low to break these bones." Zhang Lianmeng wiped the sweat from her forehead. It seemed that she had used too much force, causing her face to turn red. She looked at Han Xing with blurred eyes. At this time, Zhang Lianmeng's robe was soaked with sweat, and the thin clothes highlighted her devilish figure, coupled with the unique smell on her body. Even the air seemed to be exuding an alluring smell. This look can almost instantly evoke a certain desire deep in a man's heart. Han Xing also took deep breaths several times before barely restraining himself. He walked to Zhang Lianmeng and picked up the bones. Of course, Han Xing would not continue to crush the bones stupidly, as that would be too slow, so, he directly released a psychic puppet. Under Zhang Lianmeng's surprised gaze, the psychic puppet grabbed the bone, put it in his palm, and then slapped it with a steel palm. Snapped. These beast bones were directly smashed into powder. So amazing. Zhang Lianmeng exclaimed. Han Xing looked at her adoring eyes and silently recited the heart-cleaning mantra in his heart. Then he controlled the puppet and sprinkled bone meal on the territory, and the system prompt appeared. Bone meal fertilization is successful. This land will provide more nutrients for crops and speed up the growth cycle of crops. Zhang Lianmeng wiped the sweat from his forehead and said, "Brother Xing, please take a rest, I'll go cook." After saying that, she rolled up a corner of the mage's robe, walked over with light steps, and twisted her hips. Seeing her bustling about, Han Xing thought at this moment, "This woman is so virtuous. Also, my butt is quite big. It seems good to have such a person to handle logistics for him." Thinking of this, Zhang Lianmeng had already prepared a table of delicious and tasty meals. After coming to this world, Han Xing had not eaten such delicious dishes for a long time, and he immediately started to devour them. Zhang Lianmeng held her cheek at the side and looked at Han Xing with a silly smile on her face, a happy smile on her face. This scene seemed to be the scene she had always dreamed of. Han Xing noticed something strange about her and asked, "What's wrong?" "No, it's okay." Zhang Lianmeng shook her head. After a moment, she said a little embarrassedly, Well, I sweated a lot today. Can I take a bath with some water?" Han Xing was stunned for a moment and nodded, "Okay, just use it as you like. There is plenty of water in the storage box." When it rained last time, Han Xing also stored water in 2 storage tanks for daily needs. Zhang Lianmeng nodded and returned to the castle with a blushing face. Under Han Xing's guidance, he specially designated a room for her to wash. "Anyway, there are many rooms, so you can do whatever you want." When Han Xing passed by, he heard the sound of running water, which triggered endless reverie. Late at night, Han Xing continued to sit on his balcony and look at the stars. At this time, he suddenly noticed something strange in the distance. Under the moonlight, there seemed to be 2 survivors' territories approaching towards him. "Huh? Did you meet other survivors again?" Han Xing took out his weapon and prepared to wait and see what would happen. What's strange is that the 2 survivors suddenly stopped 1 kilometer away from Han Xing. They were not prepared to approach, and after observing for a while, they turned and left. "Gone?" Han Xing put the weapon back into his backpack. After thinking about it for a while, he didn't take it to heart. However, the 2 departing survivors soon point one of the human hunters was making a call with excitement on his face, reporting the situation to the boss. "Boss, we found the territory you mentioned. There is a castle more than 20 meters high on that territory, and the territory has 3 or 4 floors, at least 4 to 5,000 cubic meters. It should be the boy you are talking about." At this time, a stern-faced middle-aged man heard the news, and a slight change finally appeared on his livid face. This middle-aged man is the Whisperer. After listening to the report from his men, he quickly said, "Did you record the video? Send it to me." "Okay boss." A video file was sent. After watching the video, the Whisperer finally confirmed that this was the person he was looking for, and a rare smile appeared on his face. Okay, good job. You 2 will go directly to Huangwen to collect your reward later." The 2 survivors expressed their thanks with excitement. After hanging up the call, Whisperer clenched his fists and said excitedly, Xinghe, finally, I found you. Thinking of this, the Whisperer called Huang Wen from before. As one of the few confidants under his command, the Whisperer had great trust in him. Under the night, a warrior wearing light armor quietly came to the Whisperer's territory. The Whisperer whispered a few words in Huang Wen's ear. Galaxy has reached level 9 and will reach level 10 tomorrow and win the first place reward. Huang Wen, tonight is the time to take action. This man who looked a little thin had a solemn look in his eyes. The Whisperer solemnly warned, remember, you have to find a trustworthy brother. This matter must not be exposed. After a moment, he nodded and said, I understand, boss, I will make arrangements right away. When Huang Wen retreated silently, a trace of killing intent flashed across the Whisperer's face. Xinghe, don't blame me. I didn't want to attack you in the first place. But during our last trip to the secret realm, too many of our brothers died. Even I had a hard time saving my life. The Whisper of God team is seriously injured and urgently needs a lot of resources to restore its strength. Although there is no deep hatred between you and me, you have gathered too many resources in your hands. These resources can only be of value if they are in the hands of a big team like us. So, don't blame me for being cruel. That night, several survivors got a secret message at the same time. Suddenly, they got the same coordinates. At the same time, with careful mobilization, the 8 survivors' empty islands began to operate in the middle of the night. Their target was suddenly the location of the empty island where Han Xing was located. Late at night, Korean stars are in their dreams. In his room on the lower floor, Zhang Lianmen also slept peacefully. At this moment, 8 empty island territories slowly approached him. When all 8 sky islands are close together, Cobalt, lying at his feet, was the first to wake up. As a void wolf, it had an innate sense of danger and malice. In a flash of black light, Briquettes jumped onto the balcony. After seeing something strange at the edge of the territory, Mei Qiu instantly jumped back to Han Xing's bedside and gently pushed his shoulders with his paws. Han Xing noticed something strange about the coal briquettes and woke up immediately. As soon as he opened his eyes, he saw something was wrong with Coalball's eyes, and he looked out the window from time to time. Han Xing realized something was wrong. Under the guidance of Coalballs, he came to the window. Then, Han Xing saw at a glance that 8 sneaky figures had logged into his territory. In the middle of the night, these survivors banded together and quietly ran to other people's territory. No one would believe it if they said they had no agenda. Han Xing's face turned cold, and then he silently took out the legendary quality longbow. At this time, these guys didn't know that Han Xing had woken up and had discovered their traces. These survivors looked at the huge castle in front of them with a look of greed in their eyes. Then, these survivors looked at each other and took out a palm-sized bamboo tube from their backpacks. Chapter 76 Total Destruction. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Han Xing also saw their actions. The bamboo tubes these people took out seemed a little unusual. There was actually a lead wire at the front end. This is actually an improvised explosive they made themselves. The person who came here is not kind. Han Xing frowned. These guys are well equipped, well prepared, and the lineup is well matched. 2 rogues, 2 warriors, 2 mages, a hunter, and a priest. If this were an ordinary survivor, facing such a battle, there would be no chance of resistance. This is also the first time Han Xing has encountered an invasion by other survivors, but he didn't panic. Han Xing slowly drew the bowstring, a murderous intent appearing in his eyes. The 8 intruders each held several improvised explosive cartridges. At this moment, the leading human warrior said softly, light a fire, throw them out together, blow open the castle gate, and then attack directly. Others nodded. Just as one of the human hunters was about to light the fuse, from the top of the castle, an arrow struck at lightning speed. Call out. The next moment, the arrow hit the center of the eyebrow and came out of the brain. Puff. This human hunter had a bloody hole on his forehead, and his body fell limply. A message prompt came. You caused damage to the survivor, dragon controller, and successfully killed the opponent. It turned out that this survivor was called Yulong. Han Xing recalled in his mind that he didn't know this guy and had never been in contact with him. The other 7 intruders looked at the fallen bodies of the team members with horror on their faces. Little dragon. Damn it. We've been discovered. Everyone, attack directly. As the leading human soldier finished speaking, they all ignited the fuses of the cannon barrels in their hands. Throw. As soon as the words fell, the remaining 7 intruders threw out the cannon barrels in their hands at the same time. However, Han Xing just glanced at it and didn't take it to heart at all. He said disdainfully, "A bunch of idiots, my castle has a defense value of 1,000 points, and with these little firecrackers in your hands, if you can blow off the skin, I will lose." Sure enough, 7 cannon barrels were thrown at the iron gate of the castle. After a violent explosion, the door remained motionless. Han Xing took a look at the state of the castle, remaining defense value, a wave of explosions only. Destroyed 37 defense points. The intruders were confused. How come the powerful homemade explosives they had always been proud of had no effect at all? And at this moment, taking advantage of their confused moment, Han Xing stuck out his head again and shot out an arrow. Call out. This arrow once again penetrated the chest of a human mage. In a team fight, kill the crispy ones first. Korean stars also believe in this truth. The human mage looked at his chest blankly, then spit out a mouthful of blood and fell down. You caused damage to the survivor, Amber Streamer, and successfully killed the opponent. The remaining survivors were horrified. Damn, that guy is on the tower. The mage and other long-range units, aim at that window and attack with all your strength. Others, follow me and get in from the city wall and kill him. However, Han Xing killed 2 long-range enemies in a row, and now only mages and priests are left on the field with certain long-range attack capabilities. These people had a good sense of fighting. After Han Xing killed the second person, the mage immediately launched an attack. A big fireball came towards me. Han Xing ducked slightly, snapped. There was an explosion, and the outer wall area of the balcony was burnt black. At the same time, the priest also threw a ball of holy light at him. Han Xing was temporarily forced to retreat into the room. His eyes moved slightly, and the next moment, a black light burst out. The coal ball figure flashed and rushed directly to the head of the mage. The leading soldier quickly reminded, "Old Su, something is flying towards you, be careful." The mage's face instantly turned pale, and he hurriedly raised his staff. However, with his speed, how could he be a match for coal balls? Aha! Aha! There was a flash of cold light, and the wolf claws scratched across. The mage screamed, and 2 deep blood marks appeared on his face, and this is just the beginning. When dealing with enemies, coal balls showed the same ferocious characteristics as when dealing with monsters, and the black light on its body began to flash continuously. Based on the strength of this mage's equipment, which was only a green quality robe, it was as brittle as paper in the face of the attack of briquettes. Pieces of flesh and blood were flying, and every time the wolf claws scratched, the wounds were deep enough to reveal bones. Ah! The screams of this human mage were terrifying. Lao Su, what's going on over there? What the hell is that? The power of the coal briquettes and their incredible speed are frightening. The human priest stood there holding the bronze holy hammer, seemingly in a daze. At this moment, Han Xing stuck his head out again. 2 arrows shot over. The target is clearly the priest. At the critical moment, the human priesthood quickly put a layer of holy light shield on itself. This gave him some sense of security. Usually when encountering danger, the holy light shield can provide one with a strong defense, which can at least block several attacks. However, what he didn't know was that the holy light shield was not worth mentioning in terms of Han Xing's attack. The next moment, a crisp cracking sound came. Click. The holy light shield shattered. The human priest watched with his own eyes as 2 arrows penetrated the defense of the breastplate and then sank into the chest. Such terrifying attack power. As soon as he finished speaking, his body softened and he slowly fell down. On the other side, Coal Ball also killed the mage. You caused damage to the survivor, Steel King, and successfully killed the opponent. Your pet briquettes caused damage to the survivor, Dark Knight, and successfully killed the opponent. At this point, all remote occupations have been solved by Han Xing. There are 2 warriors and 2 stalkers left on the field. At this time, they were still climbing over the city wall with difficulty. The outer wall of the castle is more than 3 meters high and has a smooth surface. Even these survivors would have to spend a lot of time climbing up. When the soldier looked back, he found that half of his teammates were dead, and he was immediately horrified. Brothers, we have encountered a hard idea. On the side, other teammates asked in panic, "Brother, what should we do now? Do we want to withdraw?" The human warrior thought for a moment, then gritted his teeth and said, "That kid is ruthless and will never let us go. Keep going, we must kill him." Several others also realized this. At this time, the two stalkers seemed to have thrusting skills. When they were halfway up, they flashed and jumped onto the city wall in an instant. The next moment, they entered stealth mode in front of Han Xing. Han Xing didn't pay attention. It would take a lot of time for the two stalkers to come over, and this period of time was enough for him to clear out the two warriors outside the castle. At this time, without the restraint of the mage, these two warriors were living targets in front of Han Xing. Han Xing looked coldly and continued shooting with his bow. Benedict. Benedict. The first soldier was hit by arrows in the shoulder and back. After screaming, he fell down and died on the spot. Han Xing continued to launch a second wave of attacks. After 2 rounds, no matter how unwilling these two human warriors were, they could only die under the arrows of Han Xing. Now, there are only 2 stalkers left on the field who have entered the stealth state. Han Xing thought for a moment. In the early stage, when there were no skills such as Eye of Truth, it was really troublesome to deal with this kind of enemy. Although he knew that the 2 stalkers were in his castle, he didn't know where exactly they were. Only when they get close to him can Han Xing be able to detect the general direction based on his own sense of danger. However, although Han Xing has no choice now, it does not mean that Briquettes has no choice. Wolf creatures are born with a powerful sense of smell far beyond that of ordinary people. Coal balls, find these 2 guys. Under Han Xing's order, Coal Ball flashed and jumped onto the city wall in an instant, and then began to flash around at high speed, looking for the stalker's whereabouts. Soon, Coal Ball discovered traces of one of the enemies. At the edge of the tower corridor, there was obviously nothing there, but Briquettes bared his teeth and pounced forward. In the stealth state, this human stalker was also very nervous, but he was confident in his stealth. With his agility attribute, even elite monsters of the same level would find it difficult to detect him. He thought he could escape by hiding here, but when he saw the Briquettes rushing towards him, there was still strong disbelief in his eyes. What he didn't know was that his agility attribute was nothing compared to the S+ Briquettes. Ouch! The Coal Ball lunged forward and instantly bit the stalker's shoulder. The stalker screamed, and when he reacted, he found that his heart had been pierced by the wolf claws of the Coal Ball. Briquettes' attacks are fast and violent. To deal with this kind of crispy skin, you can solve it with 1 claw. The stalker was pronounced dead. Now, only the last human stalker has yet to be found. Han Xing glanced below. From this angle, he could basically see the situation in the entire territory. However, he could not find the intruder. This shows that the other party is probably hiding in the building. At this moment, he suddenly heard a panicked cry from downstairs. Ah! Then, there was the sound of something exploding. Boom! This scream was made by a woman. Han Xing realized something. His expression changed instantly, and he rushed down quickly. However, when he rushed to Zhang Limeng's room, he was a little confused by the scene in front of him. I saw her holding a mithril staff in her hand, looking at herself with a pale face, and in front of her, there was a charred human corpse. You've already killed him? Han Xing asked doubtfully. Zhang Limeng's delicate body trembled. After hearing Han Xing's words, she subconsciously took a step away from the corpse. You! Before Han Xing could say anything, in his surprised eyes, the staff in Zhang Lianmeng's hands suddenly fell directly into his arms. Han Xing, who wanted to push away subconsciously, suddenly felt that this woman was shaking violently all over. She seemed very frightened. Han Xing also knew what she was afraid of. After all, she had just killed a human with her own hands, although the other party is an intruder. For people who have been living in a civilized society, killing people is always a bit difficult to adapt to. Han Xing's hand that was about to push away stopped in mid-air. Half a minute later, Han Xing suddenly felt that the soft body in his arms had stopped trembling, and his body temperature was slowly rising. Han Xing looked down and found that Zhang Lianmeng also raised his head and looked at him with tearful eyes, but in her expression, besides fear, there was also a lot of shyness. She seemed to be aware of the current state of the two of them, and her face suddenly turned red. From this angle, Zhang Lianmeng's reddish cheeks are so delicate and charming, and her slightly trembling lips make people want to take a bite on the spot. The two could even feel each other's warm breath. Zhang Lianmeng held Han Xing's arm tightly, nervously, but also seemed to have some expectation. Xing. Brother Xing. Zhang Lianmeng wanted to say something else, but she saw that the man's face in front of her had quickly enlarged and blocked her lips. Well, well. Zhang Lianmeng let out a seductive moan, and her mind almost went blank. After a moment, Zhang Lianmeng, who was slow at first, began to respond enthusiastically. The night is like fire. In the small rooms of the castle, the temperature gradually increased. A few minutes later, Han Xing took a deep breath and suddenly broke away from the gentle land, although Han Xing admits that he is not a gentleman, nor a good person. But he also knew that now was not the time for such a thing. Didn't you see that there was a charred corpse in the room now? Han Xing put Zhang Lianmeng aside, coughed twice and said, I'll go take care of the body. Zhang Lianmeng nodded with a blushing face. Thinking of what they had just done, Zhang Lianmeng's inner shame almost exploded. If her legs hadn't become weak now, she would have even wanted to run away on the spot. Although Han Xing was a little embarrassed, it was not that exaggerated. He went directly to the window, picked up the charred corpse, and threw it out of the window. With the sound of flesh slapping, the body fell on the castle corridor. Then, Han Xing summoned the puppet giant, picked up the body, and threw it directly into the territory outside the castle. At this time, Han Xing turned around and said, When did you wake up? Zhang Lianmeng's emotions seemed to calm down slowly at this time, and she replied calmly, I woke up when I heard the explosion. I saw you fighting, and then I was afraid of dragging you down, so I was going to hide in the closet. Then I saw my window was open, and I thought someone might have come in. She replied intermittently, Then I will. Han Xing knew what she said and nodded. You did a good job. There's no need to feel any psychological burden. You have to know that these people are here to kill us. If you don't kill them, you will be the one who gets killed. You performed well today. After receiving the praise from Han Xing, the uneasiness on Zhang Lianmeng's face disappeared, and then she forced a smile. After the battle, Han Xing came directly outside the castle and began to examine the bodies of the invaders. Unsurprisingly, no useful information was found on these people. Things are getting a little complicated. Chapter 77 The Night is Like Fire. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Looking at the corpse on the ground, Han Xing thought. There are no clues, but we can probably infer from their conversations that these people should have premeditated it. And it sounds like this is not the first time they have done this kind of thing, and they are quite skilled in the business. It's just a pity that they met me. After getting this information, Han Xing began to continue to explore these people. Get a bronze staff *1, get a homemade explosive barrel *3, get gunpowder *17. The harvest is ordinary, except for some green equipment and a few materials. Han Xing began to touch the second body, which seemed to be the soldier who gave the order. On his body, Han Xing touched a blue sword and some ordinary materials. When all 8 corpses were touched, Han Xing couldn't help but curse. Poor guy. The equipment worn by these survivors is an ordinary mix of green and blue, and the quality of the equipment is very low. Han Xing is completely disdainful. At this time, Han Xing suddenly noticed the 8 survivor islands at the edge of the territory, which were no less than 1,000 square meters, and his eyes suddenly lit up. This was the first time he encountered an empty island of dead survivors. These guys are dead, so their territories should be merged with me, right? Han Xing said thoughtfully. Next moment, a system prompt appears. You have merged the unowned empty island, obtained 1433 pieces of territory, obtained core territory *2, obtained territory resources, spiritual core *4512, homemade explosive cartridge *12, obtained refined iron *3213, obtained. You have merged the unowned empty island, obtained 1012 pieces of territory, obtained core territory *1, obtained territory resources, dark flint *775, mithril *93, obtained bronze battle axe *1, obtained. You have merged the unclaimed empty island. 8 prompts came in succession, and Han Xing's territory increased by nearly 10,000 cubic meters in just a few seconds. The overall area is directly doubled. Fuck. This terrifying expansion speed directly put Han Xing into a state of confusion. after a while, when he saw that he had suddenly reached a huge territory of more than 15,000 square meters, Han Xing had an uncontrollable smile on his face. Okay. So neat, right? No wonder these guys like to do things like killing people and stealing goods. Damn it, the benefits are more than terrifying. After killing 8 people, Han Xing gained more than 10,000 square meters of territory, which was more than he had spent more than 10 days exploring. Moreover, in addition to the territory, there is also a huge amount of materials. All the gains of these 8 people in the past half-month have been pocketed by Han Xing. With such a large territory, he can do many things with it. At this time, Han Xing also noticed a different prompt in the system. In addition to these territories, he also acquired 9 core territories. Han Xing remembered that when he first entered this world, the system said that everyone has a core territory under their feet, which is also the foundation for future development. Could it be? He looked at the territory column on the status bar. His core territory changed from 1 to 10, and he was instantly surprised. I'll go, it's true. Han Xing tried to control the 9 newly acquired core territories and found that they all flew towards him and then floated in front of him. At this time, Han Xing almost understood the role of the core territory. This is equivalent to the cornerstone of a new territory. These core territories can be used to create several empty islands. One day in the future, if your empty island reaches a huge size and becomes inconvenient to move, you can choose to find a place to settle down. Then control the new core territory and build an empty island. At this time, Han Xing suddenly thought of something. Can this core territory be given to other survivors? That he thought of Zhang Lianmeng. Last time, in order to protect Han Xing, Zhang Lianmeng's core territory was bombed by a cannon, and the territory collapsed. Han Xing had been thinking before, would the survivors lose their territory and never be able to make a comeback? But now, the 9 core territories in front of him gave him the answer. There is a way, that is to kill other survivors and take away their core territory, which is equivalent to occupying the magpie's nest. Before, I promised the woman that I would help her restore her territory, but I didn't expect that it would come true so soon. A relaxed smile appeared on Han Xing's lips. He planned to talk to Zhang Lianmeng about this matter tomorrow. At this time, Han Xing looked at the corpse on the ground again, and already had some inferences in his mind. This group of people should be related to the 2 survivors I saw during the day. Did you see the castle in my territory and get interested in it? At the current stage, no survivor has built such a huge territory building like Han Xing. Even if they had architectural drawings, the materials needed would be enough for them to store them for a long time, and Han Xing's castle should be the only one. Therefore, Han Xing deduced that this group of people should be motivated by wealth and wanted to kill him and then loot his territory. Otherwise, he couldn't think of any other answer to why these guys came to attack his empty island in the middle of the night. Worried that these guys had accomplices, Han Xing controlled his island territory and traveled hundreds of kilometers overnight. Seeing that it was still some time before dawn, Han Xing decided to go back and take a nap. Just in case, he specially asked Kobolds to temporarily patrol outside the territory. At the same time, the Whisperer also received a report from his subordinate Huang Wen. Did the operation fail? He thought about it, and there was no trace of frustration after the failed action on his face, but a smile of success. Very good. In that case, let's implement the next step directly tomorrow. After Han Xing returned to the room on the top floor of the tower, he thought about the gains from this battle. This is also his first time fighting other survivors. The strength of these people cannot be said to be strong, but they are not much worse. With the advantages of terrain and equipment, Han Xing was able to comprehensively suppress them, but if it was in an open area, Han Xing couldn't guarantee that he could still fight so easily. You still have to improve your strength quickly, and then build the territory's defense system as soon as possible. At least let other people not land on my territory casually. I remember that among the rewards for first place, there was a drawing of a psychic shield tower and a leader-level golden armored puppet. After we win the first place tomorrow, we will build the defense tower directly. By then, the territory's defense should be greatly improved. Han Xing decided to level up at dawn and try to reach level 10 today. Just when he was about to fall asleep, there was a knock on the door. Han Xing's eyes were confused. There were only 2 people in this castle, namely himself and Zhang Lianmeng. This girl, what are you going to do if you don't sleep in the middle of the night? Thinking of what he had done impulsively down below, Han Xing couldn't help but see that alluring body in front of his eyes. Han Xing opened the door and saw Zhang Lianmeng standing outside the door wearing thin pajamas and a nervous expression. She was panting slightly and her face was red. Han Xing asked doubtfully, "What's the matter?" Zhang Lianmeng seemed a little embarrassed when she heard Han Xing speak. After a while, as if she mustered up the courage, she took a deep breath and asked, "Well, I'm a little scared and don't dare to sleep alone in that room. Can I come to your room to sleep?" Han Xing was stunned for a moment. At this time, he also remembered this. In Zhang Lianmeng's room, someone had indeed died just now, so it was normal to feel scared. He thought Zhang Lianmeng wanted to exchange rooms with him, so he nodded and said, "Okay, I'll pack my things. You sleep up there tonight, and I'll go downstairs." Korean stars don't have any taboos about these. After hearing this, Zhang Lianmeng quickly said, "No, don't. That's not what I meant. I want to share a room with you. I'm afraid." After saying this, she seemed to have exhausted all her courage and lowered her head deeply. She was waiting for Han Xing's answer. Under the moonlight, Zhang Lianmeng's bare feet were at this time, and her legs as white as jade were tightly pressed together. Looking uneasy, Han Xing even saw her magnificent scale rising and falling. At this time, Zhang Lianmeng seemed to be too shy, and the skin all over her body was white and rosy. Even from a distance, she could even feel the gradually rising body temperature on her body. At this time, if Han Xing still couldn't understand what she meant, he would be a fool. Thinking of what happened downstairs before, Han Xing's heart became hot. He grabbed Zhang Lianmeng's wrist fiercely, and then took him into his arms. Ah! At this time, Zhang Lianmeng didn't seem to expect that Han Xing would make such a bold move, and he screamed. However, the next moment, she found that her legs were off the ground, and her whole body was directly hugged by Han Xing. Zhang Lianmeng's delicate body trembled, and she subconsciously hugged Han Xing's neck tightly. At this moment, Zhang Lianmeng felt like the world was spinning. As if in a dream, she could smell the man's heavy and powerful breathing, and she could even hear the violent heartbeat under his strong chest. "Xing, brother Xing." Zhang Lian's voice sounded like a mosquito, and then he buried his head in Han Xing's arms. Han Xing gently placed the beauty in his arms on the bed, and then turned his back. Rustle, the sound of laundry being unloaded. Zhang Lianmeng, who was lying on the bed, bit her lip. Listening to the voice, her heart tightened subconsciously. However, despite being nervous, there is also a small sense of tingling and anticipation. Her beautiful eyes flickered as she stared at the young man's back. When she thought of what was going to happen next, she squeezed her legs together nervously. Han Xing turned around and looked at the beauty on the bed. The moonlight was shining on the bedside, and under the moonlight, her snow-white skin showed a shy pale pink. When Han Xing's face came close to Zhang Lianmeng's, she felt her heartbeat slow down by half a beat. "Have you thought about it?" Han Xing asked solemnly. Zhang Lianmeng knew what he meant. With a shy face, she hummed softly. Han Xing no longer hesitated. The night was sultry, and a muffled low moan soon sounded in the castle room. "Brother Xing! Brother Xing! Hey!" After a charming gasp, the beauty's rapid breathing slowly calmed down. Chapter 78 Win First Place. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The next day, as soon as it got dark, Han Xing opened his eyes. Usually at this time, Han Xing would stand up and walk to the balcony to look at the scenery outside, but today is different, because in his arms, there was a beautiful woman with a slightly red face. At this time, Zhang Lianmeng was still sleeping with her eyes closed. Han Xing did not wake her up. He knew that Zhang Lianmeng was exhausted last night. He prepared to remove his wrist from under her neck. At this moment, Han Xing's actions seemed to wake up Zhang Lianmeng in his arms. She opened her blurred eyes slightly and said softly, "Brother Xing, are you awake?" Having tasted Yunyu for the first time, Zhang Lianmeng's body became a little more mature and charming. "Yeah." Han Xing responded. Then, there was a long silence. Both of them seemed very embarrassed at this time. After a while, Zhang Lianmeng took the initiative to break the awkwardness and asked. She seemed to have thought of something and said with some fear, "Xing. Brother Xing. I took the initiative last night. If you don't like it, you can just pretend that nothing happened." After saying that, she forced a forced smile and looked at Han Xing. However, this smile in Han Xing's eyes actually made people feel distressed. After a while, Han Xing shook his head and said, "What are you talking about? Do you think I, Han Xing, am the kind of guy who refuses to admit his guilt even if he eats everything?" Zhang Lianmeng shook his head desperately. That's not what I meant." Han Xing gently hugged her into his arms and said slowly, "When you sacrificed your life to save me last time, I actually thought you were a pretty good woman. After coming to this world, human social order has already collapsed. In order to survive, people will inevitably become selfish." After a moment, Han Xing said solemnly, "Zhang Lianmeng, if no one in this world takes care of you in the future, then let me take care of you." Listening to Han Xing's almost confessional words, Zhang Lianmeng was stunned for a moment, and his eyes gradually became moist. Han Xing thought he had scared her. As someone who had never been with a girl, he couldn't think of any words of comfort at this moment. However, at this moment, Zhang Lianmeng suddenly raised his head and took the initiative to move forward. At this moment, Han Xing seemed to have given up thinking and only felt a warmth and fragrance. Zhang Lianmeng kept making gasping sounds from his mouth. After a few minutes, she became more proactive and even took the initiative to bully her. Feeling the heat in his arms, Han Xing's heart seemed to be ignited again. A few minutes later, the sound of a woman's slight gasping came from the room again. "Brother Xing, I can't breathe. Brother Xing." The sound gradually dissipated and turned into soft whispers among the clouds and rain. After it is fully light, Zhang Lianmeng had already stood up from the bed. Han Xing was lying on the bed, looking at the beauty's beautiful back, and couldn't help but feel a little dazed. Zhang Lianmeng experienced so much last night, and Zhang Lianmeng truly changed from a girl to a woman for the first time, and her whole aura became more charming. Coupled with her devilish figure, every move seems to attract all the attention of Korean stars. Zhang Lianmeng turned slightly to the side and saw the half-naked Han Xing. She blushed slightly and said, I will cook for you. Only when you are full can you have the strength to fight monsters." After saying that, she left the room as if running away. Han Xing smiled, stood up from the bed, put on his equipment, and walked out again. At this time, Coal Ball was still wandering leisurely in the territory. When it saw Han Xing coming out, it kicked its legs excitedly, and then quickly rushed towards Han Xing. Han Xing smiled and knelt down and touched its head, but today's briquettes were a little different from usual. It smelled on Han Xing's hand and then on his legs. It seems that it smells something different on Korean stars. Mei Qiu glanced at Han Xing curiously, then looked at Zhang Lianmeng who was cooking at the side. Han Xing was also a little embarrassed, so he quickly took out the spiritual core from his backpack and fed it to the briquettes. Now that he has something to eat, Mei Qiu no longer worries about the smell of Korean stars. As each spiritual core was swallowed by it, system prompts also came one after another. Feeding is successful, the potential value of pet briquettes is plus. Feeding is successful, the potential value of pet briquettes is plus. With the removal of more than 30 spiritual cores, the satiety level of the briquettes has changed again. At this time, Han Xing noticed the potential value of the growth rate of briquettes. Growth, S+. Pet growth can be increased through potential. Once every 10,000 potential, current potential, 215, after a few days of feeding. The growth rate of the briquettes has also made considerable progress, but there is still a long way to go before reaching the potential value of 10,000. After breakfast, Han Xing took Zhang Lianmeng and started to continue leveling, but the atmosphere between the two was a bit strange. Zhang Lianmeng became even more shy and would often look at Han Xing's back and get distracted. Several times, Han Xing reminded her before she reacted and released the spell. Fortunately, with Han Xing and Mei Qiu by his side, Zhang Lianmeng will not be in any danger. Moreover, today Zhang Lianmeng also found that Han Xing had become much more patient with her. This made her feel warm inside. After a whole day of leveling, Han Xing's experience bar was steadily rising, and at the same time, his territory was also expanding rapidly. It was late afternoon. Han Xing put away the arrow, and the corpse of a level 10 elite tiger fell at his feet. At this time, the system prompts came. Successfully killed the colorful tiger, 1-star elite level, LV10 and gained 7,320 experience points, and the pet briquettes gained 5,856 experience points. Your level will be improved with the current level. As a white light flashed across Han Xing's body, he finally reached level 10, at the same time, the system prompt appears, you have successfully reached level 10, have reached the level ranking requirements, and are currently ranked 1. You have received ranking rewards, Psychic Shield Obelisk Construction Drawing, *1, Golden Armor Puppet, *1, Elementary Teleportation Array Construction Drawing *1, Elementary Lord's Hut Construction Drawing, *1, Gold of Your Choice Weapon Blueprint, *1, Golden Treasure Chest *1, Spiritual Core A lot of rewards are thrown at Korean stars. Not long after the Korean star won the first place reward, the District 107 chat channel immediately started a heated discussion. Sure enough, it was the star god who won the first place. This time it was really a crushing advantage. Yeah, this upgrade speed is really unparalleled. It's really scary. I just reached level 7. I don't know how the star god did it. Han Xing's upgrade speed once again refreshed their understanding, at this time, other survivors said. But next, those people will start to exert their efforts, right? Although the first place reward has been decided, the rewards for the following ones are not bad either. Who do you think the second place will be? Those are 5 elite level puppet guards and a golden treasure chest. It's hard to say. Now the first tier has reached level 8. The Whisperers and Blackhawks should be the most promising. However, the Lonely Brave Man and Yin Tianming also have great potential. I heard that they seem to have a relationship with the Star God. With the help of the Star God, these two are also strong contenders for the second place. Friends of the Star God. That does have great potential. That while other survivors were discussing the rankings, Han Xing has already started to check the rewards he just received. He first picked up a drawing, and the drawing information appeared on it, Psychic Shield Obelisk Construction Drawing, Elementary, a territorial building that builds an obelisk that can generate a psychic shield. The psychic shield can resist physical and magical attacks. The defense value of the obelisk is 500. The shield's defense value is 200. Han Xing clicked on learning directly. As the defensive building he had always wanted to do, he finally got it. Then, he looked at the construction requirements on the drawing board, Psychic Shield Crystal Tower, Elementary, depending on the size of the territory, you need to invest the corresponding number of spiritual cores to generate a circular psychic shield. The psychic shield can protect against physical and magical attacks. With a defense value of 200, materials required for construction, Fine Iron *30,000, Mithril *1,000. Magic Crystal *10,000, Rare Earth *50,000, Ether *50,000, Spiritual Core Star. Note, survivors can adjust the size of the shield according to the territory area, from 10 meters to 200 meters in diameter, and need to invest the corresponding spiritual core to provide energy. This is it, Han Xing said excitedly. With this obelisk, he can build a shield with a defense value of 200. With the addition of the castle, the defense value is 240 points. If other survivors or monsters want to rush into their own territory, they must first break this defensive barrier. Security is greatly guaranteed. Okay, now it's impossible for those brats to attack me at night. Without further ado, Han Xing decided to start construction immediately. Although a lot of materials are needed to build the Psychic Shield Obelisk Tower, his material reserves are completely sufficient. Han Xing found an open space, not far from the castle, about 30 square meters. He just clicked Build. A system prompt came, whether to consume materials to build the primary Psychic Shield Obelisk. This construction will take 20 hours. Yes. Under construction, remaining time is 19 hours, 59 minutes and 59 seconds. It's not bad. It takes a lot less time than building a castle. After processing the rewards from the obelisk tower, with fiery eyes, he looked at another reward, the Golden Armored Puppet. Golden Armor Puppet, Leader Level, a special enhanced puppet that can only move within the territory. Grade, Attributes, Strength 108, Agility 74, Spirit 86, Constitution, Skills, Steel and Iron Bones, Flame Spray, Blood Cutting, Heavy Hammer Slam, Metal Blasting. This thing is more than 10 meters in size, which is bigger than his elite psychic puppet. Correspondingly, its attributes are also beyond a level. Han Xing touched his chin, raised his head and said, if it's that elite psychic puppet and it's a duel with the golden armored puppet, it's very likely that it will be ravaged by the golden armored puppet unilaterally. However, compared to psychic puppets, golden armor puppets have one of the biggest drawbacks, that is, they can only move within the territory. In other words, it only has a defensive role and cannot help Han Xing fight monsters like a psychic puppet. Chapter 79 Targeting. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Looking at the golden giant on the territory, on the side, Zhang Lianmeng opened her mouth slightly and exclaimed, "What a big puppet." Han Xing smiled and said, "This is a good thing. If those little brats dare to run into my territory in the future, they will be trampled to death." However, listening to Han Xing's somewhat cruel speech, this woman not only did not feel scared, but was filled with admiration. She seems to have been completely conquered by Korean stars. Then, Han Xing started to check the third reward, construction drawings of Junior Lord's hut. He has no use for this blueprint, because in each survivor's territory, there can only be one main city-type building that takes effect. He now has a higher-end castle, and even if it is built, it will not have any additional effects. Moreover, this cabin is really just a cabin. Han Xing took a look at the drawings. It was only about 100 square meters and had 2 floors. It was similar to an old-fashioned self-built house in the countryside. In terms of appearance, it is not on the same level as the Lord's castle. After putting the blueprint into his backpack, Han Xing began to look at the fourth reward item, Basic Teleportation Array Construction Drawing. Build a teleportation array in the territory for survivors to travel between. When teleporting, the other party must also have a teleportation circle. The number of single teleports is 1 person, and the transmission interval is 1 hour. Materials required for construction: fine iron *20,000, mithril *5,000, magic crystal *50,000, ether *50,000, spiritual core *50,000. Build or not? Yes. Han Xing established this teleportation array directly next to the psychic shield tower. Under construction, estimated remaining time is 17 hours, 59 minutes and 59 seconds. Han Xing rubbed his hands excitedly and started to check the fifth reward. Golden weapon blueprint of choice, that he said with some excitement. This is the first golden equipment I have ever obtained. No. It seems like the fusion artillery is the first one, but it's special equipment. Forget it, never mind, it's golden equipment anyway. It must be more powerful than the moon crown longbow in my hand. As usual, Han Xing chose his main weapon, the longbow. A system prompt appears. Have obtained the blueprint of soul broken longbow, gold. Do you want to learn it? Study. Han Xing rubbed his hands excitedly and quickly checked the production conditions of the broken soul longbow. Materials required to make the broken soul longbow: eternal gold ingot *10, mithril *50, soul crystal *10, spiritual core *5000, rare earth *10,000, 2-star leader level beast muscle *1. Wearing requirements: : It's an eternal gold ingot again, and it also needs the animal sinew of the 2-star leader. Every material in it can't be obtained at this stage, right? At this time, Han Xing also noticed the wearing requirements at the back, which required level 11 to equip. My heart suddenly dawned. It seems that this weapon was prepared for him after he breaks through. Before a survivor advances, the upper limit is level 10, the level cap can only be opened after using scrolls or other methods to change jobs. This golden weapon is indeed not something that can be considered at this stage. Now, Han Xing sets his sights on the last reward, gold chest. This is also the first golden treasure chest he has come into contact with since entering this world. Han Xing is also looking forward to what he can find. A golden light flashed and a system prompt appeared. Successfully open the gold treasure chest. You have obtained 3 eternal gold ingots, for tough animal skins, 1024 spiritual cores, and the immortal shield, gold. Another piece of golden equipment, in Han Xing's hand, a triangular shield about 1.5 meters high appeared, with a dark yellow surface. There were some typical medieval patterns printed on the shield. Coupled with its earth-like color, it looked like, it gives people a feeling of being thick and indestructible. At the same time, the properties of this shield also appeared in front of Han Xing. Immortal shield, Gold, LV11, Quality, Legend, Defense 5457, Spirit plus 20, Constitution plus 20, with special effects, Unloading, when receiving a physical attack, reduce the damage caused by the opponent's strength by 20 points, with special effects, Intermediate Magic Resistance, reduces damage by 20% when receiving magic attacks, with special effects, Unyielding Will. Unyielding Will, legendary special effects, when receiving damage, you can enter an unyielding state for 10 seconds. In this state, all damage received is reduced by 50%, and you will not be knocked back by any attacks. Cooling time, 30 minutes, wearing requirements, LV11, exclusive for the priesthood. This shield has such strong properties. Chen Yun is a priest, so it seems that we can throw this shield to him. Han Xing touched his chin in thought. But, I remember he said he wanted to change his profession to become a priest. This profession focuses on support and is not strong in resisting monsters. Is it useful to give it to him? Forget it, let's see then. At this time, all the first prizes have been opened by Korean stars. Once the obelisk is successfully constructed and the leader-level golden armored puppets are added, Han Xing's territorial defense will be greatly enhanced. On the side, Zhang Lianmeng was also happy that the Korean star won first place. At this time, Shen Yun and Qing Jianyong also saw the information on the list and sent congratulatory messages to Han Xing. Brother Xing, fierce. You've reached level 10 so quickly. Han Xing smiled, it's okay. With the strength of my equipment, it would be strange if I didn't get first place. The two agreed. Chen Yun asked with a smile, by the way, Brother Xing, you have reached level 10 now. The next step is career advancement, right? I remember that when you won first place last time, you opened a hidden profession scroll. What was it? Shen Yun was very curious. 69.c, Han Xing replied, the elf shooter has pretty good attributes. Elven archer. Shen Yun was thoughtful and continued to ask, are you sure that Brother Xing will change your profession? However, this issue is also something that Korean stars are considering. The hidden career scroll he opened last time was really strong, but Han Xing has always been thinking about the profession of Wild Ranger. This is because he heard those NPCs say this when he played Sky Island Paradise on his mobile phone. In the most primitive era, when life was just born and wisdom was born, a group of terrifying creatures lived in the world and dominated the world. These creatures were as big as stars, and when they opened their mouths, it was a horrific catastrophe, and countless lives died as a result. In order to grow, these creatures will devour a large number of lives. The whole world seems to have become their breeding ground. Wave after wave of lives are harvested and reduced to meat, livestock, and breeding tools, leading a never-ending life of darkness. The creatures in the world call this kind of creature, beast, until 500 years later, in the vast world, a man wearing a feather coat and a wild figure appeared. This man has no race, no name, no past. His eyes were like torches, shining with the fire of wildness and courage. His voice gurgled from the fountain of soul, crossed the wilderness, and sang to the barrier between heaven and earth. His arrows are like wolves running in the cold wind of the night, unstoppable. It was this man who resolutely fired the first arrow aimed at the beast. It breaks the concept in the hearts of all living beings that beasts are invincible. From then on, the intelligent creatures in the Holy Spirit realm began to resist the beast. He is the original hunter in the world, the embodiment of free will, the Wild Ranger. At that time, just listening to this background introduction, Han Xing felt that the B level of Wild Ranger was extremely high. Compared to another hidden profession, the elf archer, the Wild Ranger is significantly stronger, but to trigger the conditions for changing the profession of the Wild Ranger, it can be said to be simple or complex. That is, those who hold the seal of freedom can summon the spirit of the Wild Ranger and inherit its will by performing a certain ritual under the full moon. The key to this job transfer condition lies in the chapter of freedom. Han Xing speculated that the so-called chapter of freedom should be some kind of mission prop, but he didn't have any clues yet. He decided to check out the trading channel later and try his luck. However, before he could open the trading channel, he suddenly heard Qing Jianyong exclaiming in the discussion group. Look at the chat channel, someone is looking for trouble for Brother Xing. Trouble with Brother Xing? Who is it? Shen Yun asked quickly. After hearing this, Han Xing's expression changed slightly. he clicked into the chat channel and saw the messages that had flooded the screen at a glance. At Xinghe, come out and speak. At Xinghe, Star God comes out to respond. What is the situation? Is what the person in Whispering God said true? At Xinghe, I didn't expect you to be this kind of person. Han Xing frowned, a little confused as to what was going on inside. He doesn't seem to have done anything, so why are so many people on the regional network criticizing him? At this time, Han Xing noticed that most of those who spoke were members of the Whispering God team. What are these guys doing? At this time, someone from another big team in District 107, the Airplane Boy Group, came out and asked. Brothers of God's Whisper, what happened? What happened to you in Xinghe? Someone took the lead, and other onlookers also asked. Yes, you God's Whisper can't explain clearly what the situation is. Eat melon and melon seeds and cola mineral water are sold in the front row. Shocking news, the grudges between the number 1 team in District 107 and the number 1 person in District 107, everyone was very curious as to why Whisper of God, as the largest group in District 107, suddenly found trouble with Xinghe, the most popular person in District 107, and it seemed to be very serious. At this time, in God's Whisper, a person named Haoyue came out to speak. He seemed to be an important figure in God's Whisper. Haoyue, let me tell you what happened. Last night, we suddenly received news that several brothers in the team lost contact. Then not long after, the names of these brothers were blackened together. You should know what this means. When the name turns black, it means the survivor is dead. Everyone also realized that the matter was indeed serious. That Haoyue continued, we thought they encountered some kind of monster, but later through investigation we found out that someone was secretly attacking them. Haoyue's tone was very cold, and the people on Channel 107 were shocked. They seemed to think of something. Could it be? At this moment, Haoyue continued, you must have guessed that the person who attacked our brothers is Xinghe. Last night, at least 7 or 8 brothers suffered the vicious hands of Xinghe. What? After Haoyue finished speaking, other survivors in the chat channel were shocked. Is this real? Xinghe actually killed so many people. Before that, everyone still maintained the habits of their own civilized society and was relatively restrained. Even if there are some people with evil intentions, they would not dare to put this kind of thing on the table, otherwise, he will be targeted and ostracized by everyone. In serious cases, he will even be hunted down by everyone. But today, for the first time, they heard someone publicly testify that someone had killed other survivors. The atmosphere suddenly became serious. At this time, other survivors asked one after another, brothers of God's Whisper, you can't say such nonsense, you must pay attention to evidence. You said Xinghe killed your God Whisperers. Is there any evidence? At this time, those people at God's Whisper suddenly fell silent for a moment. At this time, the survivor named Haoyue sneered, of course we have evidence. If you have evidence, then show it. Don't just say it here. Someone asked. Yeah. Other survivors echoed. Haoyue continued, don't worry, our team leader will personally provide you with evidence. Not long after Haoyue finished speaking, the next moment, the Whisperer came forward directly and said, hello, fellow Blue Star compatriots, I am the leader of Whisper of God, the Whisperer. My brothers just said some extreme words, and I would like to apologize to you here. But please understand their feelings. We at God's Whisper are a big, united family, and everyone who comes in is a brother and sister. Now that they see their brothers being persecuted by other thieves, I believe you can understand the sadness in their hearts. The Whisperer's tone was sad, with a hint of anger. I, the Whisperer, can prove with my personality here that it was Xinghe who killed our brother. As for why, please follow me and watch a video. The Whisperers posted a video file on the chat channel. Everyone clicked in to take a look. It was a scene of Han Xing standing on the castle building and shooting an arrow, hitting the head of the first mage. But the video appears to have been manipulated to include almost no footage of the men attacking. From the picture, they could only see the scene of Han Xing killing these people with one arrow. After the video was played, everyone was silent for a long time. At this time, someone asked tentatively, captain of the Whisperers, are you sure that person is Xinghe? That the Whisperer did not respond directly, but said, I think you should have seen that castle. It was the drawing that Xinghe transferred from my hand. At this stage, it should be the only copy. Plus everyone knows that, Galaxy is a hunter profession. Combining this information, I can confirm that this person is Xinghe. After listening to the Whisperer's analysis, everyone was a little more suspicious that the person on the screen was Xinghe. Could it be that Xinghe really killed so many people in Whispering God? Tomorrow all of God's Whispers will be killed, book friends, don't worry. Chapter 80 Chapter 79, Counterattack, More Apology. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. The Whisperer continued at this time, I believe that everyone has made a judgment in their hearts. Although Xinghe is powerful, we cannot act recklessly and massacre our fellow humans. Now, all our members of God's Whisper, ask Xinghe to come out and give us an explanation and give an explanation to our brothers. Otherwise, even if I, the Whisperer, pay a heavy price, I will make the galaxy pay for it with blood. The Whisperer's impassioned speech aroused enthusiastic responses from other members of the Whisper of Gods. That's right, Xinghe must give us an explanation. We at God's Whisper will never let go of such a villain who kills innocent people indiscriminately. God's Whisper, Unity. At Xinghe, come out quickly and give us an explanation. At this time, Han Xing looked at their angry expressions, and after thinking about the attack that happened last night, he almost understood the whole story. This Whisperer may have wanted to deal with himself from the beginning. He also arranged those 8 attackers. The Whisperers seem to have expected the failure of these people, so much so that after those people failed to assassinate Han Xing, he immediately took the next step and planned the current situation. Han Xing sneered in his heart, and there was also a murderous intention in his heart towards this Whisperer whom he had never met before. At this moment, Qing Jianyong couldn't help but jumped out and cursed, You idiots! You were fooled by the Whisperers like fools. Believe whatever other people say. Where are your brains? That everyone saw the name of Yu Qingjian, the lonely hero. Before this, many people speculated that the lonely warrior was related to Xinghe. At this time, seeing him speaking for Han Xing, everyone also acquiesced in this statement. The Whisperer said calmly, Lonely brave, we know your relationship with Xinghe, but in this matter, it doesn't mean you are partial. He did indeed kill our God Whisperer. This matter, you can't deny it. And this is the most intolerable thing for everyone. I hope you can understand the seriousness of the matter. Qing Jianyong was about to refute, but Xinyan interrupted. Until now, it's all you God Whisperers who are talking to yourselves. I would like to ask, why did the members of God's Whisper run to the territory of Xinghe together in the middle of the night? How do you explain this to the leader of the Whisperers? Xinyan's words can be said to be very reasonable. This made everyone think of some possibilities. Other survivors asked confusedly in the chat channel. Yeah, why would these people join forces and go to Han Xing's territory in the middle of the night? Could it be that they wanted to attack Xinghe from the beginning, but in the end they were not strong enough and were killed by Xinghe? Faced with everyone's doubts, the members of God's Whispering changed their expressions. However, the Whisperers also have a plan for dealing with this situation. The Whisperer responded calmly, Brother Yun Tianming, your rebuttal angle is very tricky and very reasonable. But I can tell you that the reason why these brothers of mine are in Xinghe's territory is actually because Xinghe invited them there. Xinghe invited them to the territory in the name of forming a team. At that time, several of my team members excitedly told me that they had met celebrities from District 107. However, they would never have thought that the existence they admired would actually kill him. This invitation was a trap set by Xinghe from the very beginning. This statement can only be said to be only half credible, but the Whisperer knew in his heart that he didn't need others to completely believe him, he just needed a reason to take action against Han Xing. Everyone was just watching the fun, who cared how many bowls of jelly Lu Zi had eaten. The people of God's Whisper share the same hatred. The Whisperer slowly spoke at this time, Lonely brave, Yun Tianming, you too should know Xinghe. Please help me tell this. Xinghe must give us an explanation on this matter. Of course, Xinyun would not believe the Whisperer's lies and sneered. Explanation? What explanation do you want? The Whisperer paused and finally stated his conditions. To compensate our dead brothers, each of us must hand over at least 100,000 spiritual cores and 100 bottles of secret elixir of life, including the ranking rewards that Xing had just received. Listening to this guy's asking price, Chen sneered, "You dare to ask, what if we don't pay?" The Whisperer slowly replied, "If you don't give it. Then we at Whisper of God also have our own way of dealing with it." The Whisperer's tone changed and he said seriously, "Then, Xinghe will be endlessly hunted by the Whisper of our God. No matter how far he flees to the ends of the earth, as long as he is encountered by someone from Whisper of Gods, he will be killed. If you want to protect him, the consequences will be the same." After the Whisperer finished speaking, Hao Yue was the first to respond. "Support the leader of the Whisperers and pay with blood. Let Xinghe come out and pay with blood." Whispers of God, these people are excited. In the territory, Han Xing finished reading their speeches, with a sneer flashing on his face. On the side, Zhang Lianmeng looked at her worriedly. Han Xing waved his hand and said, "It's okay." At this moment, he finally sent his first sentence in the chat channel, "Xinghe, I heard that many people are looking for me. Are they still chasing me?" The real owner appears. In the chat channel, there was a moment of silence, and then a tsunami of messages flooded the screen. "People who eat melons are crazy about Korean stars. Star God, are they telling the truth? Did you really kill so many people in Whisper of Gods? Star God, please explain why you killed our companions." Galaxy. Korean stars ignored all these issues. He just said lightly, "Kill, just kill, what can you do?" At this time, the Whisperer suddenly smiled when he heard Han Xing admit it himself. The area network was silent again. They were all shocked by Han Xing's arrogance. Crazy man. Damn Xinghe, you will definitely pay the price for this. The Whisperers of God started trashing Korean stars. However, Han Xing also counterattacked without showing any timidity. A bunch of idiots, who were led by an old fox without realizing it. They have arrived in the new world, and they are willing to be treated like dogs. That's all you can do. The faces of those people scolded by Han Xing changed. The Whisperer said at this time, "Xinghe, you have made a big mistake, and you still dare to be so arrogant. If you continue to persist in your stubbornness, not only our God Whisper, but the entire District 107 will not be able to tolerate you." Faced with the threat from the Whisperer, Han Xing said indifferently, "Whisperer, I know what you plan to do, and I also know your purpose. But I can tell you for sure that this will be the worst decision you have ever made in your life.